I know I hijacked you. I know I hijacked you. And we're live. We're live. Usually we play some song thing, so just bear with us. It's just for our viewers. And yeah, it's like a 5-second song. And yeah, can the song play also? Okay, the song is played. Okay, tonight we have Mike and we're talking comrade parenting. I know it sounds like an odd topic, but I think it's quite an interesting one. I hijacked him because I saw he had interesting views on Facebook. And I said, okay, it's fine. Let's engage them. So maybe my first question to you, as you introduce yourself, if you want to get to that, there's a general sense that Comrade insists that their kids should be far away from politics. Do you agree that comrades think that way? And do you agree that their kids must be far away from politics?
Thanks. Should I thank you for hijacking me in the first place?
The viewers must thank me.
let me withdraw my thanks. And my armpits are smelly because I was training now, not so long ago, before I started it. You can't have a universal answer to the question, because at the end of the day, it depends on individuals. As individuals, we have a set of values that guide what we want in life, what we want to do, what is it that we want for our kids. Some of the values that I subscribe to relate to independence. I must empower my kids, arm them with tools to be able to make their own decisions. I therefore cannot say to my kids, go into politics or do not go into politics. During my era, it was kind of given. I think what we were subjected to, you had to take a stand. You had to say, this is me, I'm fighting the system. However, that which we defeated, that which we fought for, affords our kids a choice, because politics should never and is not a given. Kids, there is nothing wrong with kids saying, I want to be an IT guru. I want to be a social worker and just work with the community. I want to be a teacher and commit myself to kids. It should not be a given that because you are born of a political leader, necessarily you must therefore be into politics. I think there's a problem. That thinking is messed up. That thinking is wrong. Politics is not from the womb or the testicles. It's a person's consciousness. You decide that I've seen part of that which I've been exposed to. I prefer politics. Being active in politics and being politically conscious is different. It's two different things. I have a son who's an active, who's an activist. I have a daughter, my eldest daughter. She is not active at all. However, when you engage with her, she is highly conscious and she makes her decisions. I never tell her Is that whiskey shift?
Okay. I can't admit it because my parents don't know that I drink. So, but let's just say it's a drink.
Okay. Tea.
It's also tea. Okay, look, maybe let's go to the next question, right? And I'll pose it deliberately. Is it the parents' duty to induct their children into comrade work or give them space? But let me contextualize it. So I saw a picture of Serena Williams with her daughter playing tennis together. Christian families, they don't wait for you to be wise enough to make your own decisions. They baptize you at an early age and say, look, you're under our care. And since you're under our care, you are going to go through what we go through as parents, right? So do you think the induction into comradeness is part of your responsibility as a comrade? Or you are going to just say, it was born when you're old enough?
My duty, you see, indoctrination by its nature is very wrong. I prefer conscientization as opposed to indoctrination. I must expose my kids. I must allow them to read. I must give them books. They must interact with their peers. They must look at society and interpret it, and then decide what is good for them. You gave an example with religion. My daughter is a staunch Christian. My son is an atheist. And we coexist in the house because they've each been given. I do not believe, you see, the minute you indoctrinate people, you are saying that they can't, and therefore they must be fed a particular ideology or thinking. Individuals have minds of their own. They must be stimulated. They must be allowed space to think and decide what is good for them. It is wrong for parents to predetermine what kids must do. It is the same thinking that our parents had, that no, when you grow up, you're going to be a doctor because you're studying maths. When you could have been a nuclear physicist, but because your parents only knew medicine as a career that can be pursued by somebody with mathematics, they therefore push you into maths. So I'm saying that kids must be allowed. You know, kids are free-spirited. Kids are not clouded. Kids have got ideas. Allow them to flourish. The minute you try to push them into a particular line of thinking, you are limiting their abilities. You are constraining them. You are suffocating them. Allow kids. The fact that I was an activist, what informed my activism and my decision to become an activist, the conditions are not the same. I was young. I was young in the early 80s. I was in high school. There was repression, there was oppression, there was police brutality. But my 18-year-old son, there's what is these things that fly? What do you call this? There are drones. Minister Stella Beni was launching a drone program, etc. Why must I think that my son must be a youth league branch chairperson? If his interest is into drones, not that there's anything wrong with being a youth league branch chairperson. Another child will say, I have an interest in pursuing politics, and then they become a chairperson. But my son can be a member without being a chairperson because his interest is in drones, but he is conscious of the challenges that faces society. He is aware of the inequalities. He's aware of the race challenges. He's aware of poverty in our society. But it doesn't follow what his father is doing.
But let's speak about the awareness or conscientization, right? Look, if you go to varsity, you're most likely to meet children of politicians, and this is my personal experience, right? Majority of them are not as aware. Majority of them are not as conscious as they should be, or what I think is the norm or just the basics, right? Do you think being a comrade yourself as a parent takes you away from being an active parent because of the workload you have as a comrade?
Undoubtedly, most um, most activists are away from home. You would know, it's public knowledge that a number of comrades, their kids are delinquent in one way or the other. They are either drunks or they are drug addicts or they are street kids. And unfortunately, that is the price that a lot of activists. I put on my glasses to look smart and intelligent. Can I take
Yeah,
them
yeah.
off?
And then I did the same. I also did the same.
Um, Unfortunately, community work and activism has a price. We pay a price. We neglect our families. We neglect our kids. We are away from home. It's slightly better now. I mean, in the 80s, in the 70s, I mean, there are people who went into exile in the 60s. There are fathers who left their
Okay.
kids in the 60s and went into exile and came back in 1991. And
Hmm.
they had no way of shaping the future of their kids. It is slightly better now. We get to see our kids every 2 or 3 days and scold your kid to say, "Hey, I'm told you came back home late." But it is wrong to expect of kids born of activists that they must automatically become activists. I think what we need to do as activists is to
Mhm.
avail material for our kids to read, and the material must not be aimed at indoctrination. It must be
Okay.
material aimed at enlightening them, sharpening their analytical ability and their ability to make decisions. They must then make decisions whether I want to be an activist. Having seen what mom, what dad, what lives they led as activists, I choose that. Community service,
Mm.
which is should be a synonym to activism, means that you give up your personal self, you give up your personal space, you want to serve the community. When there are floods, when people are running away, you run towards the floods to save those that which can't escape the floods. So you can't, and you must never force a person into that. It has to be a personal resolve. That is why activism is a lifelong commitment. It is not a commitment, it must never be a commitment of convenience because I'm going to be known as member of parliament. I'm going to have a business card with a logo of parliament. Activism is an act of sacrifice. You're giving yourself to the community. You are saying that for my entire life, I pledge to serve. Now you are like a priest. What is this church? Catholic priest, where you say, I give myself. The Catholic priest has given his life to God, and he commits for life. So you can't force your child. It has to be something that they emotionally feel, that comes from the bottom of their hearts. You understand? Hello? Are you there? What do I press?
in there?
Yeah.
I think we're back. We're back. There was a bit of a connection loss. Apologies.
You must buy.
You were busy telling us about.
You must pay for electricity too. That illegal connection, you must disconnect it.
I'm not from Soweto. I'm not from Soweto, so I do pay. I used to live there. I must fix. I must talk to my supplier. Or Reverend, please, man. Please make sure Praveen does not come for you. Uh, I think you were just explaining to us that being a comrade takes you away from home and the implications of being a comrade, or there were implications, right? So yeah, I mean, let me allow you to continue from there before I go to the brain challenge.
Yeah, I hope Minister Stelanda Beni is watching. We need 5G because you keep cutting. You must make sure Minister Stelanda Beni watches this broadcast.
Okay.
No, Chief, I was saying that it's difficult being an activist parent because you divide yourself between family and the people who are you there? You gone again?
I'm still there. No, I'm still there. I just wanted to give you the platform. So don't worry, I can still hear you.
I know my good looks.
I'm here, I can hear you.
No. You wanted me to have the whole screen. No.
Yeah, there were ladies complaining that I'm taking up your space.
As an activist, you have to share yourself between the community and your family. It is not an easy decision, but let me tell you, every activist is driven by a conviction to serve. And more often than not, activists compromise their families. And that is why you end up with kids who become delinquents. That is why you get a lot of activists. If they're not married to activist partners, they end up because they've given up personal freedom, personal life, even their own persona to serving. So it is not an easy thing. And that is why not everyone can be an activist. You know, in a community, somewhere in Zola or Orange Farm, there is a very intelligent, capable, hardworking man or woman who runs an orphanage, who runs an old age home. And if this person were to go to the private sector, they would thrive. But they don't go to the private sector because they have made a choice to serve. And they stay in that community. They eat the same food as the people in the old age home. They live with them. The decision to serve is not an easy one. It is a conviction. It is in your mind. You have to decide that I am going to serve my people. And that is why, I mean, you ask yourself the question, freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela, when he made the statement in the dock that he was prepared to die. Happy birthday. He had kids. He had 4 or 5 kids, and instead of pleading and begging the judge to say, spare my life, he says, if needs be, send me to the gallows, kill me, but this cause I am committed to. And that is the spirit of a person that has resolved to serve. It is a resolve. Okay. So for an activist, a family is not my 2 kids and my wife. For an activist, family, it's my 2 kids, my wife, and the community.
Everybody. Okay, look. Usually on the show, we usually have like an insert where we ask you easy questions, right? Maybe let me share my screen. It's like an insert that we do just to make everyone at ease. It's a time. We're going to ask you 10 questions, and you must just pick one of 2 things. And if you do it quick enough, you hold the record. The record right now is at 44 seconds. 8-9 is held by some fellow called White. It was actually held by Wandile, right? He's the record holder. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
I know him. He's a terrorist. He's wanted in America.
He's our friend. So
He's a terrorist.
So you must just pick one of the 2 things. I'm going to say 2 things. You must just pick one.
If I don't win the record, this thing has been fixed.
Okay, now you are going. I trust you'll win. Okay, so we've restarted the time, and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Dog or cat?
Dog.
iPhone or Android?
Android.
Working alone or in a team?
Team.
YCL or Sasco?
Sasco.
Or Tambo or Chris Hani?
Or for life.
Love or money?
Love.
Continue with your life or start afresh?
Continue.
AK or Casper?
They both fucked up. Casper.
Zuma or Mbeki?
Mbeki.
Horror or comedy?
Comedy.
And yeah, man, you are our latest record holder. You are our latest record holder with 45 seconds, 0.62. So you have beat. Yeah, actually, this thing of wanting young people to lead might work against us. So yeah, you've beat all the young people I've ever had on the show. You are the current record holder with 45.62, 45 seconds, 0.62.
Thanks.
You almost lost it at AKA and Casper. You wanted to have an opinion.
When you said AKA, I thought of a gun. That's the problem.
Okay. So maybe our last question for tonight would be, what is your advice to parents who are comrades right now in this time?
Yeah, no, look, I think let's try and instill the correct values in our kids. It's usually a criticism that says leaders, their kids are not activists. I think that question or criticism must not be answered by the parents. It must be answered by the kids. But then the kids can only answer it if we, as parents, instill the correct values and teach them to be independent and to read. I made a post, I don't know if you saw it, about the nomination of Tutugani Zuma.
I saw the post.
This is Zuma's kids and what. So what? Tutugani is an activist in her own right. She's been an activist, yes. She's been an activist since varsity. So why mustn't she be nominated? So the question must be answered by kids and not parents. But my advice to parents is that empower your kids. You know, Zuma family is an interesting family. Duduzani, the businessman, unapologetic. Tutugani is a political activist. I think it's because former President Zuma allowed his kids space to make their decisions. What prompted this, interview, is because I no longer have kids. I've got relatives. Those people are adults. They should be
Okay.
able to make decisions. So my advice to comrade parents, make sure from an early age you empower your kids to be able to make decisions when they become adults. They must not live in your shadow. We don't want Mandela's kids. We don't want Sisulu's kids. We don't want Mbeki kids. We want Thabo Mbeki, Lindi Sisulu, Zinzi
Sure.
Mandela, people with their own credentials, people who can stand on their own and say, I am so and so. Don't look at my father, forget my mother. I am Thabo Mbeki. When people talk of Thabo Mbeki and Govan, they talk of them as if as they are equals, because
Mm.
Thabo Mbeki made his mark. I'm sure the seeds were planted by Govan from an early age. He taught Thabo, you are your own man, live your life, read, lead, have an identity. There is nothing worse than not having an identity as a person. I think that is the worst thing that could ever happen to any person. And
Baruntwana ya mangma.
if you domineer your kids, ne? But
Mm.
already, when you introduce yourself, oh, untwana ya mangma.
Sure.
No, introduce yourself as Temba Maile. But oh, the inventor of the electric car.
Sure.
Not all untwana ya Brahmaiki wako Alex. And I think that is my advice to comrade parents, that let us not try and force our kids into activism. We chose a life of activism. Let us give them the choice. And we give them choice by enabling them to be able to think and think for themselves, think as independents, think as adults, think as responsible members of society. The worst thing that we can do is to have kids who are not responsible members. So whatever
Okay.
in our activism, we must make sure that we do take care of our kids, we do give them guidance, and they become responsible members of society.
Okay, that was it, guys. Pramay, thank you so much. I know I hijacked you. I know we had connectivity issues, but I think the conversation was necessary, and I think people learned a lot. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. And maybe next time I'll allow you to debate Colin Maine, but it's fine. We'll discuss that one later. So that's it, guys. That's it, guys. That's it, guys, for today. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's it.